In a region known as the Caucasus, which straddles Eastern Europe and Western Asia, or what's often called Eurasia, there's a country named Armenia. This small country is nestled between Azerbaijan and Turkey, bordered by Georgia to the north and Iran to the south. It covers just 30,000 square kilometers and is home to about 3 million people. A large portion of the Armenian population currently works abroad, sending money back home to support their families. Because of its limited geography, business activities are quite restricted, and these remittances play a significant role in the country's economy. Additionally, due to political issues with Turkey to the west and Azerbaijan to the east, establishing trade partnerships with these two countries is challenging. Without direct access to the sea, Armenia's trade primarily occurs over land through Georgia and Iran, or relies on air transport to meet the country's needs. Commercial activities with other nations are generally coordinated through its capital, Yerevan, which is also the most visited and one of the most developed cities in Armenia. Many Armenians live abroad, sending money to support their families back home. Because of its small size, business activities in Armenia are quite limited, so the money sent from abroad is very important for the economy. Plus, due to political issues with Turkey to the west and Azerbaijan to the east, it's tough to set up trade partnerships with these countries. Since Armenia doesn't have direct access to the sea, most of its trade happens by land through Georgia and Iran, or by air. The capital city, Yerevan, is where most of this trade is coordinated, and it's also the most visited and developed city in the country. Friends, check out my results from last month working from home without a boss breathing down my neck. If you want to achieve the same results I have and enjoy time, financial, and geographical freedom, and start the year off right, take a look at the first pinned comment below after this documentary. I promise you won't regret it. To give you a quick history of Armenia, the country was annexed by Bolshevik Russia and incorporated into the Soviet Union, along with Georgia and Azerbaijan, forming the Transcaucasian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic in 1922. Under Soviet rule, Armenians experienced a period of relative stability, but also faced political repression, including the persecution of the church during Stalin's regime. With the death of the communist dictator in 1953, the people of Armenia felt a significant relief. Life in Soviet Armenia started to improve, with the church being restored and a memorial being built for the victims of the Armenian genocide in 1967. In 1991, with the collapse of the Soviet Union, Armenia regained its independence, but soon faced economic difficulties and an armed conflict with Azerbaijan. The economic blockade imposed by Azerbaijan and Turkey made the country's problems even worse. On top of these challenges, Armenia, located in an active seismic zone, was devastated by an earthquake in 1988 that killed 23,000 people. Today, life in Armenia is marked by a certain economic dependency. In Yerevan, the atmosphere is tense, reflecting economic and social concerns, especially among adult men who seem more stressed compared to women. Armenian women, on the other hand, stand out for their elegance and style. They frequent cafes, stroll through squares, and dress carefully, showing a higher level of vitality. Some of the people you see on the streets may have moved recently due to events in Russia and Ukraine, meaning not everyone in Yerevan is an Armenian citizen. The presence of Slavic features in some women suggests that many have come from Russia. Armenian men, especially after the recent wave of migration from Russia, seem to have a particular preference for Russian and Ukrainian women. In Armenia, people predominantly speak Armenian, but Russian and English are also commonly used in daily life. The genetic makeup of Armenians shows more typical Caucasian traits, with dark hair and brown skin, similar to the people of Georgia and Azerbaijan. On the streets, you often see a mix of office workers, students, and retirees. Many Armenians seek business opportunities in Russia and European countries, as Armenia's internal market is limited and offers few job opportunities. Young people are frequently seen sitting on the streets, reflecting the economic difficulties and lack of opportunities in the country. In Armenia, it's common to see married couples on the streets, reflecting the patriarchal structure of the society. where the man is traditionally seen as the head of the family and has the final say. While many Armenian women work before having children, they usually focus on their families and husbands after the kids are born. Motherhood is highly valued in Armenia, especially given the small population of around 3 million people. This focus on family and children is essential for Armenians, who see increasing the population as a guarantee for the country's future. Currently, about 1.6 million of the population are women, while 1.4 million are men, creating a significant difference of around 200,000 more women. The migration of young men to other European countries makes it even more challenging to maintain and grow the population within Armenia. Additionally, many Armenian men have a keen interest in sports betting, looking for easy ways to make money since the local job market doesn't offer many opportunities for getting rich. In Yerevan, the capital, the streets are notably clean, and there are various vehicles of different price ranges driving around the city. Interestingly, many pedestrians cross the streets without paying much attention to traffic lights, preferring to cross when they feel it's convenient, regardless of whether the light is red. It seems there isn't a strict penalty system to discourage this practice. A major challenge in Yerevan, especially during the summer months, is the extremely dry and hot climate with little humidity. The city has several water fountains, where tourists often drink and take photos as souvenirs. Yerevan also has a well-developed metro system, making it easy for residents to get around the city. Near the metro stations and busy areas, you can commonly find secondhand bookstores and antique shops from the Soviet era. Yerevan is a city rich in history, filled with statues and architectural elements dating back to the Soviet era. Many of the buildings in the city center, still in use, are over 3 decades old and showcase typical features of that period. On weekends, the capital's squares become hubs of activity, with people enjoying parks and cafes. The patrons of these cafes are known for their friendliness and hospitality, always ready to offer good service and pose for photos. However, it's best to avoid discussing politics with locals, as Armenia faces constant political turbulence both internally and externally, which can lead to conflicts. Regarding foreign politics, Armenians generally have a reserved and cautious attitude towards Azerbaijan and Turkey, preferring to keep their distance even from tourists from those countries. On the other hand, the local population is generally warm and friendly. A simple greeting, regardless of the person's age, often results in a smile, a friendly conversation, or a wave if they're in a vehicle. Republic Square is the heart of social life in Yerevan, serving as the main stage for events and public performances. Public transportation is widely served by old white minibuses, which are a common sight in the city. Another notable aspect of Yerevan is the constant presence of police officers patrolling the city in uniforms that resemble military attire, ensuring order and safety for the citizens. The city occasionally sees protests and demonstrations against the government, which leads to constant police vigilance to prevent disorder. One of the biggest shortcomings in Yerevan is the lack of playgrounds for children. The city offers few suitable spaces where kids can play and have fun safely. If you visit Yerevan with children, you'll notice a scarcity of playgrounds, forcing many kids to play in the streets, which requires constant supervision. Although the average number of children per family in Armenia is about 2, the lack of investment in children's recreational areas in the capital is a noticeable problem. When you reach the higher points of Yerevan, you can enjoy a spectacular view of the mountains, with the silhouette of Mount Ararat in Turkey clearly visible, highlighting Armenia's proximity to its neighbor. Observing the city from above, it's clear that Yerevan isn't very large and has few modern, tall buildings. For those planning to rent a home in the city, it's important to know that comfort and luxury are limited. Most available houses and apartments might need renovations, and the building facades generally have muted colors. The average monthly rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in Yerevan is around $500, which is quite high for local standards. When it comes to vehicles, most folks drive around in old Mercedes cars and Russian models, while those with better financial standing go for newer German cars. Life in Armenia is tough due to the almost complete reliance on imports across nearly all sectors and limited local production. A family of 4 needs a minimum monthly income of $1,000 to get by, though living with less often means making sacrifices. It's common to see seniors still working in the city, even at an old age when they should be enjoying retirement. The currency in Armenia is the Armenian dram, and the monthly minimum wage is around 75,000 Armenian drams, which is roughly $180 or 900 reais, according to international sources. The average monthly income for a worker ranges between $300 and $400, which is significantly lower than the European, Arab, and American averages, and also less than in many Balkan countries. This low pay forces many people, including seniors, to keep working to make ends meet. Despite the economic challenges, Armenia shines in some areas, like wine production, which is a significant sector in the local economy. Armenians have great confidence in the quality of locally produced wines, which can be enjoyed in the country's upscale restaurants. However, when you venture out from the capital and explore rural areas, you'll see a stark contrast with modern life. In Armenia, vast stretches of land remain virtually untouched, maintaining their traditional simplicity throughout the generations. Despite some small villages dotting these areas, the majestic mountains of the region have remained unchanged for millennia. However, life in rural areas is challenging due to the poor infrastructure, both in terms of buildings and roads, which are often inadequate and poorly maintained. The cars found in these regions often have more than 2 decades of use. Foreign tourists who venture outside of Yerevan often do so to appreciate Armenia's mountainous and arid landscapes. Despite its small size, the country offers vast open spaces, where mountain views provide a sense of peace and relaxation. Additionally, visitors are often intrigued by the everyday life in the villages. In the villages, for example, women don't consume commercially produced bread. They prefer to make traditional lavash, which is baked in ground ovens. Unlike the city, life in the villages is marked by a strong sense of community, where neighbors collaborate on daily tasks, like baking bread together for all the families in the community. Homes in the villages typically display exposed bricks and stones without paint, reflecting the simplicity of the local lifestyle. One of the most charming aspects of rural Armenia is the self-sufficiency of its residents, who grow their own fruits and vegetables and raise animals for sustenance. They lead a natural and simple life, consuming what they produce. Despite economic limitations, villages rarely face food shortages. However, Armenia, while an interesting destination to visit, offers few appealing opportunities for permanent living. Internal and external political issues hinder the improvement of living conditions, making it challenging to achieve the comforts of modern life. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and be sure to check out our other videos popping up on the screen.